No, I can tell. And then you're involved. I can always tell
Yeah.
because you're like partners in crime. And then I walk out there. My daughter's like, I want to go on your show. And I said, yeah, you come on with me and Hung in a minute. She goes, no, I want to go on the show where there's a mystery guest. I'm like, how do you know about the mystery guest? And she's like, because I just do. Like, there's something happening here. There's like a conspiracy happening. And I keep hearing that Missy Elliott song in my head.
Which one is that?
What is it? I don't know the words. It's like you got to work it, then you jerk it, then you turn around and reverse it. 9-9 nick and knock a nine. It goes like that.
Yeah.
I have no idea, man.
Okay.
Oh, did you see? For the first time in my life, I got roses. Check it out. Are those nice? Look at that.
Let's see.
See?
Aw, who gifted you roses?
Morgan did. They're like nice roses, though. I mean, like very nice. Like,
yes.
Really nice. It touched me. I'm like, what is going on? Am I feminine coming out or something? Like I was like, oh.
Hello, everybody. This is a very special edition of Soul Speaks 5D because our guest, Todd Medina, is celebrating 60 years today. So, yay! Happy birthday! We're not up to anything, though. Of course not. That's just insane. That's just you being all.
What do you mean? No, something's going on.
You think so?
I feel it. I can feel it. And, I don't know what it is, but it's, pretty cool. I like it. I like, mischievous stuff. I'm mischievous.
Okay. So I need your cooperation.
Okay.
Can you jump on? I just sent you a link on Messenger.
You want me to jump on Messenger?
Can you switch screens? If not, I can.
No, I can. I'm on. Do you want me to put something on or what?
No, there's a link on your Messenger.
Oh, wow.
Do you see the link?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Can you play the link but have it show on the feed?
I already like it. Okay, hang on. Wow, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna have to get
don't look ahead of time.
I'm not. I just see the caption. Okay, so if I go like this and I go here and I go to Chrome tab and I go to Instagram and share audio, boom. Okay, can you see it?
I can see it.
Okay.
Do you have it in full screen? You have to have it in full screen mode.
Hang on.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I'm trying to find full screen. It doesn't look like there's an option. No. Okay, so I'm going to put it here.
Yeah.
And click it.
Hit play. Yeah, you should.
It says, fuck this shit. Okay. It says, celebrating the legend today. Here's to 60 years as unapologetically dramatized by... Okay, this should be interesting. Here we go.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? Riding in the deep. Down in the deep. Now I know y'all be loving this shit right here. Rolling. What you gonna do? Rolling. What you gonna do? Down in the rolling. What you gonna do? Right, y'all be loving this shit.
Oh, Jesus Christ Almighty, man! That was awesome. That was epic. That was fucking epic, man.
Yeah, I had to go through. I worked on this 2 weeks ago, and I had to go through and look at all of your photos online.
I know. I can't even believe you found like that one with me in the underwear thing. That was. Well, that wasn't me trying to be sexy. It was just I forgot about that, but that wasn't me trying to be sexy. That what happened was I was trying to expand Soulogy, and it was frustrating because nothing against how I feel about the feminine. I mean, it's nothing against that, but a woman would get on there and show some TNA or be attractive or whatever, and you get 500, 700 fucking, engagements. And I'm putting up what I felt like was substantial posts and writings, and I'd get 3 people on there. So I thought, fuck this. I'm going to start doing selfies.
And taking your shirt off.
I got a little and I was, yeah, I got a little carried away. There was actually one that was worse than that. There was, thank God. Yeah, I didn't have the right bits, as Morgan said, but yeah, there was one where I was standing in my kitchen. I dropped my pants to my ankles, and there wasn't much left to the imagination. But I was doing it because I was trying to, like, build some awareness, and sometimes flamboyant stuff works. God, that was really nice of you, though. I know you like to poke fun and everything, but that was really nice. I really appreciate that. I'd like to have
You're
that.
welcome.
I guess I can download it.
Yeah, I'll drop the link. So on Soulogy, I'll share it to Soulogy after the show.
That was I love the song too. I just love the as my daughter over here says, who you're going to meet in a minute, 19 years old.
Yeah.
19 Earth years. But she's like, where did you go? I'm like, I'm at the Mexican market, man. Like, she's texting me. And she goes, what are you getting? I said, coconut water and Mexican sodas. And she's like, swag. So that was swag. I'm like, what the hell does swag mean? Now I know what swag means. That was swag, what you did with swag.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I was telling her about you. I was telling her who you were to me. And yeah, she's up there too.
She's up there.
Yeah, so, and then one of my sons just called. She's on the phone with him right now. I never had a kid come see me.
Really?
No.
Well, you haven't turned 60 before. Apparently it took 60 years.
Let's see. I must be doing something wrong, because I distinctly remember, in a very dysfunctional, as we can all pretty much relate to, dysfunctional family atmosphere.
Yeah.
Fragmented, where I was usually the peacekeeper or the peacemaker. But I remember my dad having a birthday party at a barbecue restaurant, and it was a 50th birthday party. It was like the first time we had gotten together ever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So swag, Morgan says, what is swag? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just another term for like cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Epic.
Hip, epic. Yeah.
Yeah. Rad.
Depends legend. On
yeah. Which generation you're from.
Yeah.
So are you sick, or are you just emotional? You seem to be blowing the nose there.
Yeah. No, I've been snorting cocaine.
Yeah.
No. I don't know what's been going on. I noticed this a few weeks ago. Morgan had the same thing happen. And so, like, one night, my ears were draining. Like, literally, there was fluid coming out of my ears. And I've noticed that my sinus cavity has been discharged. Just been some weird stuff going on. Like, it feels like stuff is being unblocked, but not, like what we might be familiar with. Just something different happening. And I don't know. I just get this slight trickle that's occurring now and then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I could probably cry. Yeah, that might happen. My God, man, it's been like, my daughter's been here 2 nights. It's just been like balls out. It's just been incredible. Yeah.
And she's the youngest out of the 6, right?
Yeah, she's the youngest. And she's lit.
Wow.
She's lit like a firecracker.
Well, I'm sure all of your proteges are they not?
Really,
with the territory.
They actually are. They're all very in their own way, pretty incredible. Yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
So, how are you feeling today? Did you wake up feeling extra old, or?
I woke up with a very bad headache.
That headache. Were you drinking last night?
Well, I had to get off the wagon last night. So we went to a really cool kind of an institution restaurant called AJ's Oyster House.
Oh, and oysters. It's my favorite.
I know, but it was oyster night. And when we got there with 35 minutes to go before they closed, they were out of oysters.
Oh, what? That's the worst.
I was going to do some shooters and everything. And, but I had a couple of beers, shot of whiskey. We had a nice dinner. We had a really nice dinner. We ordered like 6 appetizers and 1 entree, and we just kind of munched out on different things. It was cool. No, the one here is Anise. Her name is Anise, Anise. Izzy's the second youngest. She's 1 year. She's 14 months older than Anise. They were on the phone last night. They both live in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might as well just go through the 6 kids. Can't just talk about one or two.
Yeah. So my oldest kid is, and what's interesting too, because Patricia Cota Robles was talking about all the kids born after the harmonic convergence. I think she specifically said 89, that are coming in without karma, and she was explaining it all. Well, all my kids fall in that category. So my oldest one was born in 89, so she'll be 30. She's 32, right? And she'll be 33 in March 1st. And then my next kid is Dante, who just called, and he's 27. He's in his final semester of architectural engineering.
Oh, wow.
He's 27. And then Lauren, who is like adopted, but since I met her at 2.5 years old, I always knew that there was something there. So she's actually in between the two boys. So Dante's 27, she's 26, Teddy's 25.
Yeah.
Right. And then Isabel is 20 and Anise is 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite?
They always ask me that. And they would accuse me of it at different times. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have a favorite. And obviously, no, I don't. Anise will be the one though. She'll say, I'm your favorite, like, it's okay, but none of them are my favorite.
Yeah, no, it's just competitive, right? I think I have with my brother and sisters, there's 3 of us. So it's not competitive because my parents they're Asians and they can't hide like their poker face. They'll be like, no, Hung's the favorite. I don't know what happened to you two.
So shut the F up. We don't ever want to hear about it again.
But of course they say it now just out of like basically humor, right? Because they know it bugs my brother and my sister. But in this generation, I guess it's more Western culture. The Western culture on my husband's side, he's white. My mother-in-law has 5 kids, and she never says who's the favorite. But she's always like, I can tell you who, like, there's categories, right? When you have children, there's categories of each child excelling exceptionally well in one. So you're really proud of that characteristic of them. And then there's some like characteristics that you're like, that's okay. We don't need to talk about that one. So for Chris, who's the firstborn, and I'm also the firstborn of my family. So Chris is my husband. We're both the responsible one. So if there's ever shit to hit the fan, we're the one that will like figure it out and pull everyone out of it, right? And then the other boys, they have their own characteristics. So what would you say with that segue for your children? What are your proudest characteristics of each child, going from eldest to youngest?
Proudest characteristics.
Yeah.
God. Wow, I don't know. That's like, is that a trick question? I mean, I feel like something's going to happen today. I don't know. My oldest child, Kelsey, right? So,
how old is Kelsey?
She's 32. And
Okay.
so I haven't talked to her and we don't talk. And,
Okay.
so like when she was born, I was like, I don't think my ex-wife would get upset with this. I was kind of like the maternal one. I fed her. I took her everywhere. We spent 5 years together. Like I didn't have that with any of the other kids, right?
Yeah.
Like we went everywhere together.
Yeah.
And so then there was a separation, and I think she took that really hard. And so there's still some issue there, right? But what I admire about her is she's got big balls, like me. Like when she was a kid, like, she would just do shit that would just be like, hey man, get down from there, like literally. Yeah. And that was the thing. She would just do whatever. Right. Yeah. I mean, she would do whatever. I remember we went to this Mercado in San Antonio, and so she's like, 2.5 years old. And so the Mercado is a Mexican market, old style. And there's a dude, so they have like, performers in the little, whatever you call it, the courtyard. And so I was with my mother, her grandmother, and I said, "Hey, watch her because she's a wild ass. I'm going to go make reservations or put her name on the list." And there was a dude, he was on a unicycle juggling, right, with like bowling pins. And I kid you not, I'm gone 2 or 3 minutes. Now there's a whole crowd of people, and this little 2.5-year-old kid pokes her way through the people and convinces the guy, "Let me get on your shoulders while you do it." So she's on this dude's shoulders on a fucking unicycle while he's doing bowling pins.
Has she ever lost that? Or did she carry it through her?
I think,
years?
well, I think she has actually, do they all have it? I think they all have it. They all have that part of me that's kind of lives, that doesn't, pushes things, pushes the envelope, kind of gets extreme. She's got a lot of similarities with me. I mean, but I think, I think she hasn't lost it. I think, like a lot of people, she's gone into the matrix, so to speak. And I think she's, I can't really speak to it because I don't talk to her, but my feel for it is that she's never lost it, and I think it'll come back in a big way. Yeah, I really do. She's got a beautiful heart too. They all do. So Dante, I used to call him the Zen master.
And how old is Dante?
Dante's 27, and he's still got another semester. He gets out in May with architectural engineering, and he kind of got slowed up with the COVID thing because a lot of his courses you have to be, in the room. So anyway, he's a very cool dude. He's very laid back. But again, there's a lot of similarities. When I went homeless, he was with me. See, and he was like 16 years old. He had like dreads down to here. Eventually, became down to the crack of his ass. They weighed like 25 pounds.
Oh my Lord!
But I was homeless. And he was technically living with me. And so that was a pretty rough period. But, and so he got to see some things and experience some things with me that nobody else did. And that's the good, bad, and the ugly, but he's never been judgmental.
Yeah.
We all have our highs and lows and everything, but, he's just, he's really laid back and cool. And the crazy thing is Morgan and I, when we went to Corpus, and I had that ice storm thing, right?
Yeah.
So I never met his fiance, and I'd seen pictures of her. Her name is Emily. So Morgan and I met Emily and Dante at this restaurant, and we had a blast. It was a blast, just an absolute blast. And it was crazy because it was like we were looking at ourselves, because everything that Emily brings to the table, Morgan brings for me. It was crazy. Yeah. And Dante's got that wild hair streak, Yeah. And so it was just funny. But yeah, so with him, I'd say probably it's his Zen frequency, because like I can remember being homeless, and I can remember some really difficult times when he would just be like, "Dad, when's this going to end? How can this keep happening to you? What nobody can do this. I mean, this is just one person can't handle all the shit that you're dealing with, right?"
Yeah.
And I would say to him, it's going to be okay. And he'd say, "It's always okay."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "God, like whack." Like,
yeah.
It would just snap me out of it. Like, wow. I mean, he really had, and so even then there was like this recognition of ancestral relationship or connection, almost like I'm the dad this time, he's the dad last time, whatever. And then Lauren is not my blood. I don't look at things that way, but from a soul level, I knew from the first time I met her something was going on. And she's kind of the she was the most obstinate kid. I mean, brilliant. Fucking her mind is brilliant. they all kind of have like an artistic thing happening. And but anyway, she just did her own thing, you know. She drove me nuts. I mean, she just didn't know she was dealing with somebody who'd done everything. So I would find her. She'd be like, how did you find me? You know, like, how did you,
Yeah.
you know, but she's got a beautiful heart. She's, you know, her mother, of course, the youngest three, their mother passed away. And for Lauren, I think it was pretty difficult. She's very strong. She's got a beautiful heart, and she's got a very high level of intelligence that's wicked, you know. She doesn't run by the rules of the world. And I think, you know, the thing about her is she told me one day, she said, "Dad, I'm a tank." And I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Like she can handle, she's amazing. And she's got the grandkid, right? Which,
Oh, your first one, your first.
yeah,
grandkid.
which she sees as, yeah, and that's trippy because this kid's not my blood, but he looks like me. Like there's a soul thing happening. I always knew that with her.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another example. Like, you know, the can you see him? Like on the door over here, the soul signatures are, we came to find out the other day, these might be Atlantean signatures or significations.
I can't see it. I think the screen is cropped.
Oh yeah, it is. You're right. You're right. So it's those on the bottom of the door.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So Morgan's is on the left.
The sigils?
Yeah, something like that. So
Okay.
It was like 2018 before we got married, and we were in Georgia. So Morgan downloaded hers. 2 or 3 days later, I see mine. So she drew it for me or whatever. And like 3 days, and we put them up. Like they must have gone up in a post or something. And my daughter, Lauren, she's living in Atlanta at the time. Now this is a kid at 16 years old who jumped on a school bus with a rabbit and went to all the festivals around the country for a year.
Oh, wow.
Doing hula hooping and flame throwing and making crafts and stuff. So, you know, very much beating your own drum. Anyway, she says, "Hey, I saw your symbols. Let me show you mine." And it was blue and it had, so like there's something going on there, you know. But I'd say it's her capacity to do things and to face the consequences and the, you know, circumstances or whatever comes from what she does, to own it. And so Teddy is 25. He just got out of school about 6 months to a year ago. He's got his first real job, I guess, post graduation, and he's really special, like the rest of them. He looks wickedly. They all resemble me, and it would piss my wives off because the genes are strong. But yeah, he actually looks most like me. Like I look. If you put pictures of us, like the picture that you had in the thing, I was 17.
Yeah.
You show him at 17, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, he does. He looks a lot like you. Yeah.
And so, and by the way, Dante's like an extremely accomplished skateboarder. Teddy's a very good athlete as well, and he played basketball, and he's now back into skateboarding and still playing ball. But anyway, he's just this. Teddy's got swag, you know. Teddy's just like Teddy. Teddy's just like you know, just calm and cool and collected. He's got his own his own style, you know. Like we were in Corpus and Morgan had the kids just, you know, mesmerized, right?
Yeah.
Talking about sacred sex and shit. And Teddy was like, "Yeah, I'm not into just having gratuitous sex. I'm just not going to do it."
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Must
So
have
he's
turned
lit.
out- Because usually that age group, it's like it's a sprint, right? Not a marathon.
Absolutely.
So that age group is like all about acquiring experiences, different partners, and all that. So That's
He's
pretty.
no, he like, you know what? When he describes his lifestyle to me,
Yeah.
he's basically like all of us. He loves to be alone. He's tapping into his creativity. Uh, he's but he's got this thing. He called me like, I don't know, it was a few months ago, 6 or 8 months ago, and he says to me, "Dad, I'm woke." You know,
You know what though? Don't you the kids this generation use that term really loosely because I had a couple interns this summer and they would use that term like it was putting ketchup on french fries. Like that woke term was thrown out left, right, and center
yeah,
without any depth to it.
yeah.
So every time I hear that word, I cringe because I'm just like,
Well, I think it's not just them. It's just it's the mainstream media, you know.
it is, it is.
But when he called me, see, he had an accident, a car accident. I didn't know it, and his life flashed before his eyes.
Mm,
So I guess it was a trigger, and he had a point of reflection. So when he called me, I was just giving it like a brief description. What he was basically saying to me is like, I want to know more. I'm popping in on your shows. These things have happened, and this is how I feel. And it was all very much like talking to people on the show, like he was just coming into it.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I think what's cool about him is, he's like, he just does his thing. Right. I mean, there's like a quiet confidence. And what, at that age, and even for us, all of us, there's always that question, the doubts, and so it's interesting because seems very comfortable with himself, and that's being in the same place he was in, because my brother was 2 years and 8 months older than me. He was the oldest. Same with Teddy, with Dante. So there's this dynamic with two boys at that at that age difference, that are sharing the same room, that and it's everything. It's the fights, it's the competition. But the way he came out of that, I think, is pretty impressive to me. Like his being comfortable in his own skin. Not that the others aren't, but I'm just saying he's just got this. He's Teddy. He's got swag, and we joke about it with him. We all do.
Yeah.
He's got he's like the sunglasses and the Jordans and shit, and all that. And and then there's Isabel, who, as soon as she came in, Isabel, I knew, was an old grandmother soul. Like, it was so obvious. And so when they talk about those that come in to change things, she's that one. And again, like Lauren, headstrong, very emotional, like super emotional. Like, it's funny because she'd get pissed off, and there'd be 4 or 5 of us in the house, 4 or 5 kids, depending on what time of the year it was. Kelsey was there for the first couple of years when the second batch came, and then she got older. But so Isabel would go upstairs and she would start slamming the door to her bedroom. I hate my family. Wham, wham, wham. But her heart is just huge. But she definitely carried in like this serious ancestral stuff. I remember back in the old studio when I was getting my feet wet, and I'm seeing stuff, and there's like, stuff that had to be cleared out. There was some kind of attachment to her. And I had a friend of mine who I'd connected with out of Germany, and we got together, and it was something like similar to like the stuff that Morgan and I do now. I just never had done it. I'd done stuff on myself, but I couldn't handle it because it kept coming back. And so basically it was Isabel's deceased mother showed up, my friend, and myself. I was on the couch downstairs doing it, and they cut like this cross in her back, and all this black goo came out, and we sent it up to the light. Right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty. I'm talking about, she used to wake up with fingerprints on her and stuff. I mean, we're talking about some serious stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, but what I like about her is that she's self-reliant. I mean, this kid, at 15 years old said, F it, I'm doing it my way. I don't need to live with my big sister. I'm going on my own. Right?
Yeah.
So she's always worked. She's always paid her own way. She always faces the consequences or the effects of anything she does. And she matures. She lives and learns. She doesn't go back into the same thing and the same thing. She picks up on it. She's very different. She doesn't give a shit what people think about her. That's probably the thing that I admire the most about her, because she doesn't give a shit. I mean, she'll go on Facebook or Instagram in her, in her G-string bathing suit.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm beautiful. Fuck you if you don't think I am. I don't give a shit. I don't have anything against you, but this is what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, and she's got a beautiful, huge heart. One of those people that has such a big heart, it's almost painful, right?
Yeah.
So she's learning to. And then in this one here is like, just, well, you know how it is. The youngest kid picks up all the intel from the older kids. So they learn everything much faster. But I can remember we had a very difficult household because there was a psychosis frequency, a very serious situation. I was also unaware and unconscious that I had gone crazy myself, right? So I'm not throwing that on my wife at the time, though there was a serious condition there. So what would happen is there would be with greater frequency. Now she's 4 years old, and there'd be with greater frequency, we would just say loud conflicts or psychotic episodes. And so what would happen is the shit would go down, and we had like a countertop, like a pass through in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that's where I had the computer set up, and she'd be sitting in the bar stool, in the single bar stool, where at the computer while the shit's flying everywhere.
Oh,
and then everybody would leave. Huh?
Calmly observing?
Yeah. And then everybody would leave. And I'd look over at her and she'd go, women, you can't live with them. You can't live without them. Like she would just make these comments. And so we always had this thing, right? Like Isabel was very attached to her mother. Anise, it was me, right?
Yeah.
And we had this thing, and we've always had it. I feel like I have it with all the kids, and so each one of them is a unique situation. But okay, just to give you an idea of this one. So what I admire about her is that she follows her soul. So you imagine, she's 5 years old. Let's see, let me go back. So she's going to be like 7 years old. The parents split up. The whole world goes to hell. She is removed from my life. I'm removed from hers, which was a big deal. Her mother ends up passing. She's 11 years old, and she passes 6 days before her birthday, right? And so she ends up, I get them both back for like a week, and then I had to give them to my family. So another year goes by. I finally get them back, and so here we go. I had them for almost 3 years, and then my daughter and other family members decided, and I was okay with it, they need to come with us. You're Soulogy and you're crazy and you need to leave, kind of thing. So they did, and this would have been like 9th grade, 10th grade. And I think somewhere after 10th grade, maybe at the beginning of 11th grade, she's like, I ain't living with these people. I'm like, hey, I made my choice. I'm on the road. You can come with me, because you're not going to go from place to place to place.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, no one's going to take you anymore. And so you're going to go to foster care. I mean, I got to play hardball with you,
Yeah.
And so it was a very intense time. And, you know, she just said, look, I can go live with these people. I mean, it was like a long shot. I'm like, okay, let me talk to the people. And sure enough, she went through 2.5 years of her last 2.5 years of school, and came out of that, and 18 years old, has her own apartment, and she's working at she works at an art gallery, and she works at a high class restaurant.
Yeah.
In the nice part, in the artsy part of town. You know, she wants to be like a filmmaker and own an art studio. I mean, she didn't want to go to university. She said, I don't want to do that. I don't need to. You know, I can be Quentin Tarantino, whatever. So that's it. And so with her, it would be just that she follows her soul. I guess they're all like archetypes.
It's not that they're all kind of from the same cut from the same material there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just different variants of you. It sounds like, right? Like if we took you and spread them across 6 different people, I think that's basically your children right there. Because all the characteristics that you say you admire in them, I see it in you. Maybe what happens is because it took you 60 years to realize like that spectrum, right? Yeah. Versus the kids that are born into the generation now. The generation now doesn't have the need to prove anything to anybody, right? And if it doesn't fit them, they don't even bother fixing it. They just do something like absolutely different and absolutely new, and that's just their modus operandus. Like a lot of the older generation, unless you're woke, don't understand it necessarily, because it's usually like my dad's generation who'd be like, well, if it ain't broke, why mess around with it, right? And versus this generation where it's just like, no, there's always a better option. It's not broken, but it's not great.
Right.
So we're going to do something great. And that's where the big polarity comes into place, right? And I think that's the big shift that the collective's going through right now, is that it's so broken though, but there's some aspects that are just meh, you can work with it, but it doesn't matter, all of it gets wiped, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
So
that's,
for your so for you with the 60 years, so if anybody is jumping on, it's Todd's 60th birthday. This is a special episode. What would you say if you had to invite someone, whether they're here or a celebrity or not real, doesn't matter. If you could have dinner with someone today and just have a really great meal and a great conversation, that's not Morgan, you can't choose her, who would it be? Hello? You there?
Well, I'm you know, I was going to say Morgan, and then you're like, you took that off the table.
You can't choose Morgan. That's such an easy answer.
You know, honestly.
No offense, Morgan. We all know he loves you.
No, honestly. Well, I've never thought about it. I mean, like, just trying to Danny Kelly said that's a hard question. Yeah. And so I you know, really, I would probably say with my children, I would want to sit down. Yeah, like almost like a Last Supper or something. Yeah, like that's who I would sit down with.
With your kids?
Yeah.
And what would you in that hour conversation as your Last Supper, what would you share at that dinner?
I think I would just want to know you know, about them. So I would share my ears. Basically. I'd like to know who they are. You know, like, what do they have to say? You know, good, bad, and different. You know, what do you got? You know, where you at, kind of thing.
And do you have any intuition as to where they would land at their prime?
What do you mean? Like,
like parents, you kind of have you kind of see your children grow, and you're like, oh, I can see you at your prime. You are this. Not saying this. I'm not saying this is what is on your income. Just like I can.
No, I got you. Like where? Like what's the template of your life? Like yeah. You know, I have to say that I don't know, because I really feel like that, and I mean this, like, I feel like that they, like, I was talking to a niece. She was describing a certain situation in her life. She's 19 years old. And what she was describing was something that we've all been through. But what I realized was that, and she's one, and there, obviously this is happening everywhere. She actually had covered years in just a few months that took us years, right?
Yes.
So because of that type of reality, I see each one of them. They're they haven't they're on a trajectory to uncover, like, their passion, their creativity, and I have a feeling it's going to be, for all of them, different than what they're doing now, basically.
Ah.
So I don't really have an intuition. My intuition would be that they're going to do, and I'm not just saying this. I really feel like, because I can look at each one of them. Like Dante's an architectural engineer. That's a pretty specific area. But I have a feeling what he's going to do with it is going to have an element of creativity, that's going to involve, like, say, new technology or new genres to apply that skill, right?
Yeah.
So I see them as really, kind of like what's happened to myself, what's happened to a lot of people in these communities, where they're starting to take what they've been given, which is almost like like a gift, or an artistic talent, or something, and they're in human terms making it their job, basically. So their abundance is somehow tied to it. Yeah, I see that happening for them. Each
Yeah.
one of them. Yeah.
Because I find, like, I know from families that are that extensive like yours, there's always that there's so many different archetypes that go through each child, right? And you see through from your own stuff that you've gone through, you have a different perception on it. And as a parent, I always find that you try to take the pain and intensity of that moment away, especially if they're suffering, right? Like if your children are deeply suffering, you can kind of act as a proxy and say, it's not that bad. But I find like it's almost a role reversal with our children. Like I find my kids say that to me. So when and it's weird. When I was growing up, my parents would do it for me. They would act as a proxy and say, it's not that bad. If you focus on this, like bring your perception out, take a look at this perspective, it's not as intense as you think it is, right? Yeah. And I find my own kids, so Kaya is 11 and Ty's 14, doesn't matter how intense the moment is, it's one of the kids that would bring me back and be like, it's not that bad. Like they're just in the moment, like getting them to try to do something old school, like save for your RESPs. Forget it. It's not happening. You know what I mean? Because
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because Kaya would be like, man, I could wake up tomorrow and be dead. Who cares if I have retirement savings plan or not? And she's not being morbid. She really is pulling in the thing. And I think that's probably why you can't intuitively get access to that longer term, because right now everything is wiped.
That's right.
Right? So you can't even see for yourself. So for the kids, it's even harder. And for them, because they came in without baggage, there's no karma. There's nothing for them to transmute, no generational curse to break, anything of it. All they are responsible for is pursuing their joy. That's it. Right. It's very clean, right? As creators. So for this moment, with the collective wiped on top of the microcosm of the kids being wiped, it's just like, I have no idea what the future would look like. Like you go through these motions, but the future can instantly be turned. Like there could be a portal that opens up and all the freaking magical creatures that you always watched in Hollywood come straight through, and nothing else matters. Like if you had a portal and a dragon came through, would you really be like submitting your income taxes? I don't think so. You know what I mean? So I think that's like the precipice of where everything is at right now. where I don't know. It's just, yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy.
I agree with that. I think that the example you gave with the savings account
Yeah,
is a perfect example. You know, I say it a lot on the shows when I used to do the shows. That, you know, the 5D, you don't have a savings account. You just have what you need when you get there, and that's what you're describing, and that's you can I can relate to what you're. Hang on.
you're
It
kind of
looks like this.
glitching.
Yeah. Hang on. It's coming back. But I can remember, yeah, it's back. Her saying to me, "That's not fair." Like, excuse me? Like, she'd say, "It's not fair that I can't do what I want." And it's funny because when she was a little kid, she used to say, she'd walk around, before everything hit the fan, she'd walk around and go, "I do what I want. I do what I want." It must have been in some movie or something. But so as she, 15, 16, 17 years old, she, I want to go to this school. I want to be involved in these things, this summer camp and this thing and that thing. And I'm like, well, you just can't do it. And I'm like, well, that's not fair, right? Like,
Yeah.
it didn't register. And so she just found a way. And it was good because I was able, because I'd already been through a lot of stuff, right? So it was kind of like the no bullshit zone anyway. And I would say to her, look, I told them, like, at 14 years old, look, you guys want to be grown-ups? I'm going to back you up, but don't come and try to be a kid when it's convenient. So
Yes. Take responsibility.
I was saying this about my kids, but now that you've broadened it, I think, it's accurate. They're learning, they're getting the lesson and learning at a much quicker rate because everything's quicker now.
Yes.
So that's not just unique to my children or your children. I think that's to your point. And the role is reversed because they have that okay.
Yes, everything will be okay. Doesn't matter what's happening. Yeah, you'll figure it out. Like, it's the density of futility has been lifted for this generation. So they've basically just wiped that out, and it's like whatever it is, it will work itself out. And I think Todd just froze.
Am I frozen?
Oh, okay. Well, your video froze, but we can still hear your audio. Yes.
Yeah, because like I said, when I went homeless, it's always okay. And then I remember Teddy, because Teddy was living with his mother, but we still had this connection, right? And I remember going to Teddy, he would have been 14. He's like in 8th grade. He's like the, basketball star. He's got this whole life going on. And I remember going to him and I said, dude, you understand I'm about to go homeless. And I just want you to know I got this. And so over that couple of years, my kids would always be like, "Are you okay, man? Are you okay?" And Teddy wouldn't. And one day I asked him, I'm like, "Teddy, you never say anything." I was looking for, this was inquisitive, asking him, like, why is it that you, he said, "Dude, Dad, you told me you had it. You told me you had it covered." And so that's kind of frequency. Like, they don't go there. You know what I mean? Like, they just have this, it's all okay thing. They show up. They show up.
Yeah, it's not in their peripheral for experience, right? There's some things that you would think I wouldn't say you would think, oh, you're back on. You were glitching and then apparently you turned into different things.
It's a signal. I'm watching the signal. I don't know what's been going on with the signal lately.
It's one of those things where it's just like this time period, especially this time period, I find that the kids are I wouldn't say holding space, because I think that is actually an old term. I think this generation is holding space. And we're holding space in the fact that, and when we say holding space, it's neutralizing the polarities. I think that is a better way of explaining it. Like, we are working really conscientiously and intentionally to neutralize polarities.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself in a moment where you're before, your natural reaction, like me, is to like lunge at the screen and throat stab people where I don't like their comments or whatever they said. I have to say, no, that's their reality. And I have to like repeat the mantra. We need to honor that that's their reality. There's no right or wrong, right? The kids there is no right or wrong. The kids are like, oh, you're purple, I'm red.
Yeah.
Who cares, right? There's no value exercised on anybody, which I find I can't relate sometimes with some of my kids when they don't add value and they don't take away value. It's just, there's no value, right? So when you're sitting there, you're trying to hilariously build value in your children, like manners and how to behave and what's, all those things. And you would have like your 11-year-old lip off at you, be like, who cares if they're your elder? If, Amwai, which is my dad, and Amwai is Vietnamese for grandpa. If Amwai is an asshole, I'm going to tell him that. You can't tell your... I was like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those things. And she's like, no, but he's like, my dad was being rude. He was making comments about like that weren't very kind to my daughter. And she just like gave it right back. But it's one of those things where that compression is just like, no, that's not okay. Immediate boundaries are put up where it's not okay. But for her, she doesn't have that. She just doesn't have it. Like, it's like, if you thought I didn't have a filter, man, you should meet my daughter. She doesn't even wear, she has no filter.
She's your, she's your punishment.
Yes, it is. It's one of those things. So going back to, for you, here's another question. Is who would you say has been pivotal in in creating the spiritual language or knowledge that you have acquired today? Like, who has shifted you to a point where you are at today, or helped you, mentored you, guided you?
I don't, obviously everybody knows my relationship with Morgan.
Besides Morgan, you can't say Morgan. She's
no, I'm not. No, I get you. I get your, I get your question.
Yes.
And even if I could include her, it's because a lot of it's come back now. A lot of it's come back in the last 2 or 3 months. I did real work there. Homeless. That was a conscious communion pretty much all day long, every day, even when I was dancing. So that's, but that, and you look at it and you go, oh, I planned all this. Like what you were saying about the filter thing, from day one, and this used to drive my first wife crazy. She'd say, and God bless her. God bless you, Celeste. Thank you for, taking care of the kids and all that. But she'd say to me, what are people going to think, And I'd be like, I don't give a shit what they think. So I think there was already something seeded, like destiny or having some type of feeling for the template of my life. Now, obviously, I didn't know it was going to be to the extremes that it was, but I think, to answer your question, I'd have to say there was a lot, because I used to do this is long ago. This is my 20s. I used to do a daily. I mean, I'm talking every day. I had journals coming out of a 6-drawer file cabinet. Every drawer was full. I mean, this was a daily routine for me. And I was, I guess, meditating, visualizing, but I had this mastermind group that I would discuss things with. Right. And it could be, I read a lot of biographies. I never read any fiction. I always read metaphysical books or, whatever. But if it was about people, it was nonfiction. But I would have to say that probably the most influential would be the consciousness of Yeshua and Mother Mary, and then some angelic stuff. Now, this is all because this was present from day one, and as I reawoke, they reappeared. And I don't understand all that. Is that me? Is it embodied in me? I mean, we know all this stuff we talk about, but there's something about that whole lineage or something. And I've come to understand it more. It has to do with serving, and I mean this in a much grander way, but like serving the mother. Like, that's my job. That I know. And I know this from memories of past lives and even off the planet. That's just my deal. And so I would have to say that's, if there was one, I had to pick one, it would be her. It would be the mother. Because even when I was on the streets and I was in my worst moments, I don't even know how I knew this, but I was hearing things that I don't hear today. And it was her. She'd just say to me, this isn't real. I got you. No matter what you do, son, I got you. And I'd be like, damn, like, you know what the hell I just did last night? The old story about, your grandmother dies and she watches you masturbating, and you're all like under the sheets and shit, people talk about that. Oh
No,
my God.
no, I'm not aware of that story.
You're not aware of that?
You're alone in that experience.
So, like, in other words, God sees everything, right?
Yes.
And so just being told, get up, go to work, stop damning yourself, stop condemning yourself. And I love you. Like, it was just like, whoa, like, okay, I'm just going to follow this voice and literally step through a bunch of miracles, which is what happened.
So you know what though? Okay, I love what you just said, because I want to go back and circle back to that.
Yep.
The other thing that what I'm realizing as well, this is just kind of part of the huge shift and everything, is and Morgan has she's highlighted it for me, because Morgan, everyone knows Morgan doesn't like being in front of the camera, but she really is the brains behind the camera. So as a producer, she's constantly scheduling your guests, right, and making sure that the tempo is current with whatever the energies are for that moment. And she evaluates and she takes what she needs from it. So one of the things that she has said in the background for me, and I know it's reflectant of you because we're very similar, is basically the crumbling of the masculine, the patriotic society. All of that is coming down, right, to basically showcase and feature the era of the mother or the goddess, right? That spectrum of energy is coming into it. So what is interesting is moving into that is going to be a very destructive phase. There's no gentle part of it. I feel like everyone, and this is very obvious. It's not like rocket science, but in order for us to go from one spectrum into the other spectrum without actually having and not dying in the process, I think that's the key to the whole game, is that trying not to like lose the physicality of this evolution. There has to be some access point. In the past, there used to be a bridge, like you would be able to cross safely to the other side because someone has created a bridge. Can we say that that's accurate? In this instance, there is no bridge. We can't even find a freaking access point. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's just like, I feel when I was sitting in this, I feel like the children are going to be the access point. And it's not us. And it's not to say that we sit back and do nothing and just watch the children. But if we just give allowance to the children to do what their heart passion or their song is, that is the access point for us. That's basically our legacy for the children. It's just giving them the space to do what they feel is going to be optimal and thriving for them. You know?
I agree with what you're saying 100%.
Yeah.
Totally. I totally agree with what you're saying. They're not going to take it. She was Patricia was talking about that yesterday. She was talking about the 60s because she started this in the 60s. And she said, "You remember the 60s?" And I do, because I was born in 61, and I had teenage aunts and uncles and an older brother. So I mean, I was into all of it. I knew I was aware. 67, 68, 69, when all the major stuff was going on. But one of the things that she said was that there was this thing about don't trust the man. And the man was anything, was really representing parents. It was representing the establishment, so on. I get the same thing from my kids. We have a respect. And I think you were talking about the polarity thing, not holding space, but integrating polarities. And that's kind of what I bring to the table with them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to happen like it used to. But there's this thing where, like she said, I'm going to do what I want kind of thing. And you support that. And to me, that is the feminine energy. The only thing I would probably say differently is that is the patriarchal system going down. Because I've sat here intrigued and with my natural curiosity explored and observed many, many, many women working out their distorted masculine. And I've obviously seen the same in men. So I don't really look at it as a gender-based thing.
Yeah.
Especially now that we've gotten to this level of awareness, and it's not a rallying point like it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Particularly for the feminine, rightfully so. I get it.
Yeah, there's no vindication in the switch, right? Like it's not the righteous energy or the vindication energy coming through. It's what, so you're like when you were talking about one of the most influential guides for you was the Divine Mother. Mm-hmm. And the reason why that has shaped you so much is the Divine Mother. There's like it's the effortless, unconditional love for the child, right? That is coming through. And there's no judgment on it. It doesn't matter what role you chose to play for this reincarnation. There is absolutely no judgment on it. And that is the powerhouse that's actually coming through. And as space holders, this generation of space holders, although yours is a little bit older than my generation, it's about just accepting who people are exactly where they are right now with no expectation of change. I think that's the biggest thing we can do for ourselves, our partners, and most importantly for the children, because it's the children that will be moving the next shift into what you would call the creator stage of passion, not from fear, right?
Yeah. And, I was just thinking too, because like you start looking back and going, where did this start? Like, what did it, and to go back to your question, if it's a human being, it was my dad's mother, my grandmother, who I didn't see it till it was too late. In other words, she passed, but she came to see me many times in other forms. But if I had to look back, like at the human story, what you said is what I got from that person, which was, and I did a lot of shit, and she just, and so did other members, because it was a big family.
Yeah.
There was relatives that went to prison. There all kinds, all across the board. And naturally it's a Spanish, Latin family. So there's a lot of emotion and stuff, but that was one thing about her. She walked the talk. Like she loved you, period. She didn't care what you did. She loved you. And that's just something you can't bullshit. Like you can't say it and then if you don't align with it action wise, I mean, she just did it. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And so it didn't surprise me when I first connected 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and I went, oh, I have this ability. Who do I want to see? Or who's going to appear?
Yeah.
It was her. It was her.
Yeah.
And so she kind of like really brought me to the party, really. Because I didn't know if I was losing my mind. She was playing this game with me, like, this happened and that happened. I thought, and I'm thinking to myself, well, whoever I'm talking to is tapped into something. So I'm going to, and finally she says to me, because I kept, questioning her, like not believing her.
Yeah, of course.
And she says to me, okay, smarty pants. She was the only person in my life that called me smarty pants. So when she said, okay, smarty pants, I was like, holy shit. And then she put her hand on my heart, which has only happened 3 times to me. And one was Jesus, one was her, and one was another essence. But she put her hand on my heart, and that was probably the most important thing that happened to me. Single event that happened to me, because you know how it is when you first wake up, especially if you're doing what I was doing, which is being homeless and raising hell, and that's not a real
pushing
firm,
all the boundaries. Yes.
Yeah, pushing all the boundaries. Yeah, going to jail, going to the cycle. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so you're already questioning, hey, did I get that? We still do it today. We get a download, we go, am I making this shit up?
Yeah.
So that created an anchor. Like, you're not losing your mind. These people that you're seeing, these souls that are coming to you, seeking assistance, the angels that are helping you. This is real.
Yeah.
Okay. Just don't tell anybody, because they'll think you're crazy.
Well, I don't know. Everybody is crazy these days. It's just on which spectrum of crazy are you at, right? If you're normal, that's weird. Like, I think that's where it is. Everybody's kind of reaching out, breaking boundaries, coming out of everything, because there's no need for those limitations anymore. There's no need for protocol. There's no need for any of it. If the only guiding thing that you have is, does it bring you joy? You know what I mean? Does it make you feel excited? If you're feeling any of the darker spectrums, then you know that you're not in alignment. And that's not like, you don't have to be in alignment all the time. The human experience is about feeling all the different expressions that are available to you. In this moment, the huge divide amongst people is basically feeling the full spectrum of it. You may have never felt it before. You may have been like always the archetype of peace. But even that, like, even if you're the archetype of peace, it's been trying times, right? Where people are just like questioning, am I actually am I actually peaceful? Because I really want to punch that person out for what they said. Because your coping skills aren't there anymore. Like, nothing is there for you. Everything is just crumbling, right? So you're just, what are we grasping at? And I think the biggest thing which is wrapping up your 60 years, is that at the end of the day, what everybody is looking for is just that pure vibration of effortless love. And I don't even want to, because love in this dimension is so complicated.
Yeah,
it comes with so many set of rules. There's like rules of reciprocity. There's all these things that if you don't, you distort it so easily. So I don't even, it's just the effortless love, which is basically acceptance for who you are right now, regardless, right? Yeah. And that is, for us, that is hard, but it doesn't have to be, because you'll see it in your children's. When you look at your children's eyes, you're like, it's not hard for them. It's just like, that's why people have pets, right? Well, unless you're a cat person. Cats are difficult. But I find dogs are like, it's not hard. They see you, their face lights up, everything lights up. That's the same thing. That's the momentum. The momentum that we need to remember when we're in that really deep pit of despair, right?
Yeah. No, I get that. And Morgan, we'll start right at 6:30. We'll close up in a minute. And I just want to tell everybody too, because I keep seeing the comments. So we're a lot of people are having their comments removed on the shows.
Well, that's fun.
It's not us doing it. I've gotten some nasty messages or insinuations.
Oh,
It's
man.
not us doing it. It's happening a lot on our shows. I don't know how specific it is to what we're doing, but I think there is some. I've not seen, and there's other things happening as well. Like if you can't put up an emotion or you can't comment, I mean, this is not us. And I'm not worried about it, but I just wanted to bring that up because I keep getting messages from people. But yeah, I think that what you're saying is true. I don't know that there's a word for it, but you said something earlier about, like we're not holding space. This is what we're doing. So it's almost like you explain what it is because there's not a word. But to me, what that is, it's like if I think about my grandmother, because that's the easiest way for me to. She always showed up. That's the only way I can describe it. She was always there. Period. Like that's the way that whatever this that we're talking about is. It's like you're there. You show up. You're there, and that says it all, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. You don't need to do anything else. All right, we have to make space for the
We'll be back.
mystery guests. But I want to do a little bit of a birthday shout out because there is a PayPal link that Todd always drops at the end of everything. Show him some birthday love so that he can continue to do what he does every day. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know I speak on a lot of your viewers. Thank you for always showing up. Even on some days when I jump on and I see you're up and I'm like, oh God, why are you on camera? You should have rescheduled, my friend. Regardless, thank you for showing up. That's the best, doing the best that you can with this moment. That's the most beautiful gift any one of us can give another person.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for everything.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. All right. Love you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bless you, your family. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, honey.